Come, Holy Spirit, and kindle in us the fire of your love.
Take our lips and speak through them.
Take our minds and think through them.
Take our hearts and set them on fire. Thank you so much for inviting us to join you in honoring the memory of Jonathan Hayneville. Constance and I had the honor of scraping traces of the trade at John's home parish in Keene, New Hampshire, and I preached at the memorial service which kicked off the 40th anniversary of his death. It is deeply moving to be here today, and it is particularly moving to be able to share this homily with my wife. To have been commemorated as a martyr in the Episcopal Church in the cause of racial justice appropriately recognizes the life and death of John. Your annual reflection gives ongoing life to his work and to his beliefs. Ironically, John also lived and worked in Providence, Rhode Island, but it is unlikely that he was aware of the significant role that Narragansett Bay played in the American slave trade. It is something that simply was not talked about then. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." It is clear from John's writings that those words from Isaiah were his call also. The day Martin Luther King's request went out for support in Selma, Jonathan wrote that during the evening prayer service that day, I found myself particularly alert and suddenly straining toward the decisive, luminous, spirit-filled moment. I knew then that I must go to Selma. It is difficult, but unavoidable, for me to make the connection over the span of 2 centuries, the connection between the actions of my ancestors and the tragic death of a brilliant, spirit-filled, courageous son of Keene, New Hampshire. For you see, my ancestors brought more Africans to this country against their will to be sold as slaves than any other family in American history.
I too am honored and flattered to have been invited to be here with you today. Dain and I were very privileged to sit on a panel with Ruby Sales last May in Atlanta. We are here today to offer you our reflections on forgiveness. As I stand at this courthouse, I am thinking about Jonathan Daniels and so many courageous people from this community and around the country who made great sacrifices, all too often with their lives, speaking for and standing up for justice and equal rights. Because of them, we have made great strides. We have even elected the first African-American president of the United States. And yet, today, we are still dealing with the racism that Dain refers to as the cancer that continues to eat away at the soul of America. All we need to do is recall the most recent events that took place in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that continue to keep us separate and polarized as a people, as God's people. How do we forgive?
While attending a Boston Red Sox game several months ago, my 30-year-old son suddenly looked up at me totally out of the blue and said, "Dad, you know what your sermon in Alabama has to be about, don't you?" And I looked quizzically at him and said, "No, what? We haven't made a decision on that yet. Forgiveness is what you and Constance have to preach about." I pushed back a bit, and he gave me that look that he does when he is endearingly right. Then several weeks later, Constance and I were on the phone with Adele Stucker, one of the planners of this event, and I asked about the homily and what kind of thing the committee might be looking for. Adele said forgiveness would be wonderful. Constance and I just looked at each other.
Seeking God's forgiveness